Hey guys, how's everyone doing? So today I thought I'd do a video on another World War II era Canadian item. This is the Canadian Soldier's Handbook of General Information. So this is a very small booklet that comes in a red textured cardboard cover that you see here. And it was issued by the Canadian Defense Department starting in 1943 to all Canadian soldiers. So this booklet contains 80 pages in total and is divided into two parts. Part 1 for during the war and part 2 for after the war. And there are two versions of this that I'm aware of. The one that you see here, and there was another French version for French Canadians. So the same information, the same cover with the black printed words at the front, but everything's in French. So let's open this up. You can see at the bottom, Minister of National Defense, 1943. And on the back of the very first page, we have a place for soldiers to write down their regiment number, rank, name, next of kin, and their address. This one is in unissued condition, so it's not filled in. But this could be a method of identifying the owner in the event that the owner of this booklet was killed in action. Or, of course, if he happened to lose it and someone found it, they could potentially return it to him. So let's flip to the contents, which is really hard with gloves on. I do apologize. Alright, so here are the contents. Part 1 for during the war. And if I can flip to the next page. Here, part 2 for after the war. So if you want to read all the topics, you can pause the video. And if there's something that you really want to look at, you can leave a comment down at the bottom. So part 1 contains information that will be useful for during the war, such as here, when does a soldier lose his pay? Something I'm sure many people would be interested in. And what to do in the event of capture and becoming a prisoner of war. And of course, conversion to British money. So during the war, there were a lot of Canadian troops stationed in England. So this will be some very useful information for the troops who were getting paid in British currency. And of course, they'll be spending British currency during their time in England. So some very interesting information. You can see how it compares back then and right now, the differences. Another very interesting part is the badges of rank. So this booklet contains illustrations of all the officer ranks, because the officers are the ones that soldiers will have to salute, and they're the ones that they will have to identify. And of course, this one's quite interesting, the US Army. So a Canadian soldier had to salute US Army officers pretty much just as he would those of his own country. By 1943, the US had already entered the war, and I'm sure Canadian troops will be running into American troops everywhere, whether that be in Europe, England, Italy. So here we have illustrations of the Navy ranks, and then we have the Air Force, if I could flip there. Army and Air Force. And of course, at the end we have the US Army. So part 2 talks about after the war. So it's quite interesting that they were already considering about what to do after the war in 1943. I tend to think that this is also a pretty good morale boost for the soldiers, especially if he's in the field and there's nothing to do. He could pull out this little booklet and, I don't know, maybe think about what he can do after the war, and gives him something to look forward to. So medical treatment, clothing allowance, things like that. Here, unemployment insurance, of course, medical treatment, and here, pensions for disability or death. This is quite interesting. So you can maybe pause the video if you want to read all the information here. So yeah, this is a very interesting little booklet. Yes, addresses, 80 pages in total, very small and handy. And if we take a look at the beginning in the preface section, it says to fill in the personal record and keep this handbook in your pocket or kit bag. So if you're doing reenacting, this could be potentially something to add to your haversack or your large pack. So it's just a nice little small personal item that was issued to all Canadian soldiers during the war, starting in 1943. So I hope you enjoyed, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.